And what's your role in this operation?
Oh, I'm just a driver, bro. I just tell Daniel what parts we need, and I just go fast at the track, bro.
This guy is AC friendly. Good? Ready? All right. So here we are. The home of VLSPEED Performance. So since it's going to be kind of slow, I was thinking let's do something podcast style. I know everybody's doing it, and they seem to do good. So I know you guys see VLSPEED on the car. You guys seen the Skyline. You guys see VLSPEED on all the other cars. And I figured this would be something so you guys get to know where VLSPEED came from, the owner Daniel, and just kind of talk about in general like how he started, how he got here, and just car talk. So let's start off. I know a lot of people probably don't know this. Where does the name VLSPEED come from?
VLSPEED was given to us. It's basically Vatos Locos,
Okay.
but we try to change it. We try to change Vatos Locos to, I don't know, Victory Lane or something like
Yeah.
that, but it just got stuck with us
Yeah.
like a gum.
See, a lot of people don't know that, and a lot of people see VLSPEED, and they ask me too, like, hey, what's VLSPEED stand for? I was like, pretty sure the OG VL was Vato Locos. Not getting affiliated or anything, So that's where VLSPEED comes from. And then you've been on this location on 34th Street for how long?
With this location, we've been here for almost 6 years now.
And how did you start VLSPEED? What led you to say we're starting VLSPEED? I'm gonna make it a shop. And obviously now, as you can see from the videos, he works on everything. But originally you were all Nissan.
We started with a handful of people that were just Nissans, and back in 1998, 2000, our rivalry was basically Hondas.
This is like around Fast and the Furious time.
Yeah.
And actually VLSPEED was kind of like a team, huh?
It was a team.
Before
it was just a club.
it became, it was a, I don't know if a lot of you guys remember back in the good days, the glory days, Fast and the Furious, there was a lot of like teams, crews, whatever you want to call them. And I remember I used to see VLSPEED, and they were known for the 240s. And then fast forward to about 2006, 2007, I turboed a Scion, and I needed some work done. And my compadre, he had known Daniel since way back then when they used to always go down to Mexico and race. So that's how he knew him. And he told me, hey, my buddy has a shop. He can do whatever work you need. So I was like, all right, well, let's try him out. So he ended up actually doing the intercooler piping on my Scion back in like 2006, 2007. And that's how I met Daniel. That was the first time that I ever met him. So that was when you were at your first shop. So originally, you said you started out of your house?
We started at the house as just working on friends' cars. Sometimes I'll charge a little bit here and there, but it got to a point where we had like 10 cars in the yard, and the wife says, nah, you need to find something else.
Time to do something, yeah. And
a friend of mine and I decided to rent a garage. But eventually it became business, and about 2008 we legitly opened it up as VLSPEED.
VLSPEED, yeah. And he was you were at a smaller shop, and then you moved to another shop. Actually, you've been through. So this would be your fourth shop.
This would be our fourth shop.
And this is the one that you actually stayed in.
This is the one we're going to be seeing the longest.
There's a dyno outside. You guys already know. There's a dyno here. They do fabrication here, roll cages, intercoolers, turbo kits, whatever you need. It turned into, like I said, from when I met them, they were known for the Nissans. And then little by little, it started evolving. Now you got a Mustang with the RB26 that no one's ever seen before, probably. You got a Sunbeam.
Sunbeam,
Sunbeam with the SR20, a Celica with the Beams engine.
Yeah.
LS swaps.
Bel Air with RV.
Bel Air, yeah. It's stuff that you just don't really hear about. And I know you got real good with the RVs.
Yeah.
You
SR20 and RVs.
Yeah, you were real good with the SR20s. About what was it? Maybe 2010. He had one of his buddies had one of the cars that you owned before. It was a 97, 98. I think it was a 98 240SX. And I believe you had owned it, and then you sold it to him, and then he was selling it. And we happened to walk by one day, so like, oh, you know, this car's for sale. And so we talked about it, and at the end, my old lady is the one that ended up buying it. So we ended up buying that, and I think that at that point, that's when we kind of like grew more closer to each other. I know you were doing all the work on those because, like I said, you know, it had an SR swap in it, and anytime that we needed any work, it always came to your shop. And I think somewhere around that time is when I only knew about Skylines because of the Fast and the Furious. I knew R32. That's all I knew. And then one day we show up to the shop, and you had an R32.
Correct.
And this was like before R32s were a thing. Like, and like I said, honestly, like before the Fast and the Furious and all that stuff, like I've never seen a Skyline in real life. And then I show up to the shop, and he has one sitting there. So that was your first Skyline.
Correct,
So
yeah.
what was this, like 2000?
2008, 2009.
2008,
maybe,
yeah, that was way back when. And originally it was RB20, correct?
Originally it was an GTST, RB20. Then we ran the crap out of it till it went out, and then we ended up putting a RB26 full swap.
Yeah, then
All-wheel drive too.
yeah, all-wheel drive, the complete front end, rear end, and it was all GTR swap, R32.
That's when I started running the 10s. That's when
Yeah, and shoot, back then, like, 10s was fast. Like,
Yeah.
like I think a lot of people don't understand, like, how much money and what it takes to get these cars to go as fast as they are. Like, for us, well, for me, back then, 10s was
a goal.
a goal. And then you got there, and then we were like, you know, he's there. Like, he got there. And then little by little, like, the technology just evolved. Like,
Yeah.
I think now 8s is the new 10s, just about 9s. You know what I mean? Like, people are, it's just crazy how fast this car is
You can
going.
buy a car off the lot and go
Right,
9s, like
right?
no problem.
Yeah, shoot, freaking Dodge just unveiled that. I guess like their last Charger or whatever, it runs like a high 8 from the factory. You know, you can buy Copos, the Mustangs, and all that.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, like how much technology has evolved, and you're still working on all those things, all those cars.
We're still working the same thing. Just I don't know if it's fuels, technology.
Yeah,
Parts.
and now, like I said, you know, still working on the Nissans. Like they're still around. They're getting a little bit harder to come by, like the swaps and all that stuff. Like especially nowadays after like the COVID crap, everything just kind of went up in price. So it's a lot harder to come by like the SR20s. They were still obtainable. The RB26s, and don't get me wrong, like they were still expensive, but it just seems like now they're just like
They're just
through the roof. Now it's more of a, it's not of, do you need it? It's do you want it, or is the opposite?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, anyways, you had that Skyline, and then next thing you know, there's an R33.
correct. Yeah. So picked up that Skyline. We drove for a while. Then I picked up a Nissan Pulsar GTIR.
The
Had fun with that
GTIR.
car.
And for those of you that don't know, sorry, GTIR, it's a little hatchback, SR20, all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And I know like those cars don't really get a lot of attention because a lot of people don't know about them. But you had one like way before they were cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I made good money when I used to do a lot of street racing. So
Like, yeah. And so you end up getting the R33. That was a legit GTR.
yeah.
Did full bolt-ons, E85, big turbo, and man, that car was making north of 700 horsepower.
The 720 to the wheels.
720, yeah. So it was a fast car, you know what I mean? And like I said, like to a lot of people, it's like they see a Skyline on TV or on YouTube, whatever. Like they never get to see a car like that, like in real life. And someone here in Bakersfield has gone through 3 of them,
But Bakersfield.
right? Like, who would have thought, like, from all the places, like here in Bakersfield, you know, those cars. It's crazy how, like, not. I guess like the place where you least expected, like, you know, like now you see them here, and shoot, you got one outside.
Yeah.
So that leads to that Skyline. So then you had the S14, or sorry, the S13 that you were
S13,
drag
yeah.
racing, the hatch.
I dragged that for a while.
Yeah, and that car used to work.
Yes.
The SR20, 5-speed, man pedal, and that car went really fast.
It went 8s on still on factory ECU, factory mass airflow, factory injectors.
which is almost unheard of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all factory parts.
Yeah.
And then you had 300ZX rear differential. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
all factory parts. May not have been 240, but it was all Nissan stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy, like what a lot of like the potential that those cars have, and I guess a lot of people don't really know, like that you can actually do that stuff with factory stuff. You know what I mean? You can go that
junkyard
fast.
builds, huh?
Yeah. So you had that, and then you built another S13,
yeah.
the gray one, and you sold that one.
Sold that one.
You built the white one,
I built a S13 coupe.
the S13 Coupe, which
Yeah.
so that's
we still have it.
that's the white one, and that one was also RB,
That's RB, yes.
5-speed, man pedal.
5-speed, man power, low 9s.
Low 9s, and then you bought the GTR, and were you planning when you bought that GTR? Were you planning on I'm gonna make this a full race car?
Correct. When I bought it as a shell. So I didn't have any sentimental as far as driving it on the street. So I already thought that's going to be a nice car to be at the track only.
Yeah, and I came one day. There was a video on that. I came one day, and he's just like tearing
Ripping it apart.
Yeah, tearing things off of it. And I was like, you know, somewhere around the world, somebody's needing these parts, but because race car, you know, it's got to go.
It's gotta go.
Yeah, it's got to go. They put a nice cage in it. Got the cage certified because nowadays, like the faster that people go and all this stuff, like you realize how important safety equipment is. So you know that thing got a nice cage. It got all certified, RB swap or not RB swap, but it was a 5-speed,
Yeah, 5-speed all-wheel drive.
all-wheel drive still.
It-
But you're having problems with the
Correct. With all the power we're
With power,
making, making close to 1,000 horsepower. So third gear will always break every time.
yeah, and
we swapped like 3 transmissions.
yeah, Sonoma brakes the
two
tranny. Yeah, brakes the tranny. We had a guy. Well, I say we, like me. He had a guy drive 4 hours with the spare tranny. That's how dedicated this thing. Like the racing, that's how dedicated it is. Like we have friends that are willing to drive 4.5 hours to drop off a tranny just so we can make a pass the next day. So yeah, fuck, you guys were up till what, like 3 in the morning?
3 in the morning
swapping
to
out the
get it done,
tranny, and then the next day you made a pass, and unfortunately,
Broke
third
again.
gear, third gear had enough, and then eventually you went auto.
Eventually, I had a friend. He said, "Hey, just go auto." The original plan was to go auto all-wheel drive, power glide, but you know it's expensive, so we ended up going 2-wheel drive, power glide, and I had a lot of problems. You know, I never drove an automatic like that before, but
Yeah, and like I say, you know, like a lot of people don't realize, like once you go automatic, yeah, it's a 2-speed, it's automatic. I think with the technology and how the automatics nowadays how they work, a lot of people don't realize like what it takes to make a simple 2-speed old school transmission work. You got to make sure your gears are right. You got to make sure your converter's right, because it takes a lot on an automatic to spool a turbo, right? You had to.
It robs a lot of power.
Yeah, you know, unless you have a Billy Badass $30,000 transmission with dumps and all this stuff, like you're not gonna get a turbo to spool. So the easiest way for us to do something like that is to spray nitrates, and
A lot of it.
yeah, a lot of it. And sometimes, you know, shit happens. You remember the last video? I had a backfire. He had a couple backfires. So it's just part of it, you know. It's part of it. And I know a long time ago, D-Sport, they have an R33, and they got that car to go 9s, and they called it the record-holding 9. So from my understanding, anytime a Skyline win a 9 or an 8, they call it a RH9 or a RH8. And you were after that title for an R32 GTR in the U.S.
Correct.
In the U.S. So what was the fastest time before you came and just gave it all the sauce?
The record was 8.89.
8.89.
So the first time out on the R32, we ran 9.0, and we thought, well, we have it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be next pass. Nope. Car said negative.
Yeah, and you went through a lot of trial and error, and like I said, it takes a lot. Your tire pressure has to be right, your launch has to be right, your 60-foot has to be right. There's a lot of variables that play into this, and for building a new car, it's not just we're gonna build it and we're gonna go fast. Like, it always takes time, takes trial, takes testing, takes a lot of money. Every time you go out, it's like guaranteed. Whether you have to put in your tires, you have to put fuel, you have to fill up your rig to get there. It always costs money. And finally, Vegas
came. I had issues at the beginning.
Yeah, first pass. It's crazy because it's not just a one-man operation when it gets to this caliber. You have to get in there. You have to put your harnesses, you have to put your helmet, you have to put your gloves, you have to put your freaking Hans device, all this stuff. And you got to make sure your tire pressure's right. You got to make sure you turn on all your switches, because I forget to turn on the damn switches all the time. So there's a lot of stuff that takes this, and sometimes you overlook stuff. And like I said, like, is that, and I'm not saying it's your fault or anybody's fault. Like, we all overlooked it. It's just something that we weren't paying. Even the track officials didn't catch it. It happened. The freaking hood flew open because they didn't have the hood vents. Yeah, it sucks, because for something as simple as a $5 part hood vents, that happens. But I was surprised with how you took it. But at that point, it's like, how can you take it? You know what I mean? So shout out to Jeremiah, because he was like, hey, when you get this shit fixed, he was out there freaking banging the hood and the hinges and all that stuff. And you put that stuff back together. Yeah. And we go into eliminations, and you got the buy.
I had a buy, yeah.
Yeah. So you you made your pass, and I think you spun.
It spun the tire.
Yeah, it spun the tire. So go back around, second round of eliminations, and were you expecting? Guy. Oh yeah, Jake Montgomery, like a high 7-second tail on. His car at one point was very inconsistent, but now like he's got that thing figured out. So we knew the chance that we had to beat him is for him to break, because that car's like consistent. Right. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, keep it real. Like, I don't have anything for that car. So you make a lot more power than me, and it's a lot lighter.
Yeah, so, but still, I got a long ways.
Yeah. So were you thinking like, this is the pass? This is gonna be the pass?
So I didn't expect anything out of that pass. I figure I'm just gonna do my pass. I'm gonna let him go. There's no reason for me to tree him or nothing, so I made my pass point A to point B, and I thought it was like a low 9s.
Yeah, we're sitting the videotaping, and we seen it. I look down, I seen it again, and I look at my phone, and I was all like, that's it. That's the pass that we were all waiting for. And just like that, in a matter of 8.6 something seconds, VLSPEED Performance out of Bakersfield holds the record for fastest R32 GTR in the U.S. Now, this is the U.S. Of course, there's faster cars somewhere over there. You know what I mean? But for the U.S., that's the record. And it's crazy because you put the time, you put the money, and it finally happened. And it's one thing that like one of your goals, and it's accomplished.
We did not win, but we got what we wanted. Yeah. We want to hit that number.
Yeah.
And all we can do now is get better. Yeah. I hope we can get better.
Yeah. And obviously, and that was the launch. It was a good launch, but it wasn't the best.
It was a soft launch.
Yeah. So there's still a lot that you can improve on.
Correct.
To make that car even faster. But just the fact that pass, it did it. It pretty much gives you hope, and it lets you know like this car's got it. And since he put the car together, I told him, I was like, dude, this car's gonna go fast. Like, just by looking at it, I mean, shoot, you got. I mean, I'm not saying the best of the best, but you have some really good parts on the engine, the head, the manifold, the transmission. So all the parts are there. It's just it takes time.
Takes time.
You know what I mean?
I got to help with a lot of friends, and shout out to Andy. He's my tuner.
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah,
that's who you got the block from. So
shout out to all my friends around me. You or yourself, you're always helping me out. So it just, at the end of the day, it feels good
Yeah.
to accomplish something with everybody, friends and family.
Yeah. So shout out to Andy. He's the one that's been tuning the car. He tunes your car, tunes my car. He tuned your previous
Yeah, my
cars.
previous cars. Yeah.
And you know, he's built a lot of crazy fast cars, you can say. So his knowledge is a lot more than what we know. So he's whenever we have a question or whatever, he's kind of like the go-to guy. And he was actually just a TX2K. He brought his new Supra, which is a pretty badass Supra. So anyway, shout out to Andy. Like you said, shout out to everybody that's been part of this operation. So now that you're there, what's your plans with the Skyline? Because I know there was one thing that you said, we're not gonna make this car look good.
The car look okay, but I really want to make it look nice. But it's not gonna look. I'm not gonna put any money on the outside or any time until it runs 8s. So when you hit 8s, now we're gonna, do a makeover on this.
Yeah, heck yeah, hell yeah. And then as far as VLSPEED performance, like what do you think is next for VLSPEED performance?
Well, we got to catch up on a lot of work, but hopefully you and I can start hitting these numbers like everybody else out there, hitting those 7s. I think 7s will be a good respectable number.
Yeah.
We're not going to be the fastest,
right?
But we don't want to be the slowest.
Yeah, because I think realistically, like you're saying, a low 8, high 7, that's where you need to be competitive. With as fast as these cars are going, like the reality is, like that's where you need to be competitive.
Yeah. Low 8s, you're still borderlining.
Yeah, like I said, when you have a tail on that will run a high 7 with his eyes closed, you know what I mean? Like it's just where you need to be competitive.
Correct.
I mean, we have a baby crying. Cool. All right, she's not crying. So, anything else that you want to say? Anybody you want to give a shout out to? Anything that you want to tell the people that are watching this, whoever is watching this video? Like I said, from starting at home, like you said, what, now 15 years? Over 15 years?
Over 15 years, yeah.
Actually more, because you're still 98.
Yeah,
so
1998 to, from the day I married 1998. I just want to say, I didn't expect to be where I'm at now. And a lot of people ask me, what's your goals? My goal is this, I love what I do. Shout out to my family, my wife, my kids. I'm spending more time on my cars than them, but hopefully they'll understand later.
Yeah, and you're right. It does take a toll on the family, because shoot, right now it's 8 o'clock at night and we're still at the shop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it definitely takes someone that's understandable, because this is, I guess, our passion. We don't go out drinking, partying, and all this stuff. This is what we do. You know what I mean?
Turning wrenches.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And on your end, this is your business. Like, you have to. This is how you provide for your family. This is how you keep the doors open in this place. So any work that they need, anything that you want to tell them, whatever they need, swabs.
Not any swab, but we do a lot of LS swabs, V8s, Hondas, K series, B series, RBs, SRs, you name it. If you got a new project, I'm down to try a new one. Somebody wants to use.
Somebody wants a RB swap Mustang.
Oh, somebody wants an RB swap Mustang, but also if they want to do Hemis, we started doing Hemis now. Yeah.
Somebody's here. So yeah. So with that, you good? Anything else you want to say?
Good, yeah.
Yeah. So hey, guys, thanks for watching. Like I said, it's VLSPEED Performance. I'm gonna put some. Well, you've probably seen it by now. So I'm gonna put some videos of the car, some tearing out the engine. That's the engine that actually went at 8.6, and you're actually gonna refreshen that.
I'm gonna refreshen it. So far, the inside of the engine is perfectly flawless, but we're gonna go on a higher compression piston. We're on a 8.5 to 1 compression, so now we're gonna go to 10 to 1 compression. See if we can leave a little bit harder.
Yeah, that's what that car needs. You just need to get that.
RB26 is 2.6, so it doesn't really create any torque.
Yeah.
So we need to make some torque.
And you rev that thing to like 10,000 RPM?
10,000.
10,000, man. Jesus.
We need to.
I'm scared. I'm scared to ride my nuts like 7,500. But you got some
Yeah.
good stuff under the hood, so it's that's what it's meant to, and like you said, that's what you need to get this car to go this fast. So hopefully, Tucson.
Tucson, end of May, I believe.
And I think it's in the May.
So
yeah,
we'll get it. We'll get it running.
Yeah, we'll try to be there. Uncle Frank is gonna be there. See who else goes. Race Wars,
So there you
Tucson. So we're gonna go do some more in the racing.
We're gonna go
community.
do low eights.
Low eights. That's the plan. Yeah.
That's the plan.
Well, I need to stay. I need to stick to the mid eights because
Okay.
I go any faster and
Kaboom.
yeah. I mean, don't. I'm not saying I'm not dumb enough to do it, but I need that motor to last at least a couple more months.
To get
But
the other one ready.
Yeah, until we get the other one ready. Yeah, there's actually some stuff in the works.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
Like we
When
said,
you hear that, when you-
yeah. The goal is to go sevens, and it takes a lot to get there. So we need to start working on. At least to me, that's my goal. I know that's your goal too. You're already close to that, and there's some stuff that I need to do so I can get to that point. But like I said, little by little. Shout out to Aries Pistons, M&H,
M&H tires.
High End.
High-end auto sports.
High End Auto Sports. Schaefer's Oil.
Yeah, Schaefer's oil.
Anybody else that we miss?
There's a lot of them, but
Yeah. So
That's the-
this. Oh.
I say HL Customs, right?
Oh yeah, HL Customs. Shout out to you guys. And you guys know who you are. We appreciate it. Like I said, VLSPEED Performance, 34th Street, right here in Bakersfield. So anything that you guys need, he's got nitrous on tap. So if you need nitrous,
Nitrous,
for
fuel,
those fuel,
clutches, anything.
anything. Yeah, turbos. There's turbos, wheels, tires, whatever you need, it's here. So like I said, thanks for watching. Thanks for taking the time to doing this. Like I said, see how it goes. It's like new to me, this whole podcast thing. So
Yeah.
hopefully it works out pretty good. So
Cool.
cool.
Thank you, Luis.
Yeah.
All right.
For sure.